All right, guys, welcome back to another awesome episode. It's been a while. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks since we've done a live stream. And YouTube's been really weird lately. But before we get into any of that, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight on the stream. Tonight, you're only going to get me for the live stream. Spider's Lair is off doing some other stuff tonight, and Alex is out of town um, for a friend. So that's kind of what's going on at the lounge tonight. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. We are going to be talking all about some of the best comics that came out in 2022. And then, what should you be looking for in your local comic shop? And what should you put on your pull list? So, I'm going to kind of get into like, hey, this is what's come out, and this is what I would keep on my pull list. This I might take off my pull list and just kind of pick up issue by issue. Um, and then also just what is going to be the big events for 2023. That is huge because these big events are going to be massive according to their individual publishers. There's a bunch, there's like 10. I'm going to get into 5 of them tonight. And as the year goes on, we're going to talk more and more about them. Typically, we don't talk too much about comics. We more talk about like the movies and what's going on with movie news, excuse me, in the DC and Marvel universes, as well as like what's going on with the Spawn movie that's been in the works for like a decade and a half now, 2 decades. Who even knows anymore? But without further ado, I put this one first because I honestly couldn't remember if it was a 2021 or a 2022, but it's just an awesome comic. It's such a good read, and I absolutely enjoyed it. The original version definitely came out in 2021, but this version, I believe, came out at the end of 2021 or 2022. It is the 80-page Giant of Geiger. It is an absolutely amazing comic. Very good, excuse me, very good read, very well written. And again, Jeff Johns never ceases to amaze. It's a Jeff Johns and Gary Frank book with a bunch of other stuff hidden in it. Again, 80-page Giant. You can pick that up at your local comic shop for $8 if you can still find it. Again, it's from almost a year ago, if not more now, but definitely an honorable mention. One of the biggest things that we saw in 2022 was this really amazing cover. It was an awesome style of cover. We all know who did it because it was very popular. It still is very popular. And one of the coolest ones that I thought were really awesome. So I do have the Venom version from Venom 200, but this one is even cooler in my opinion. It is the Goblin Queen in webhead style with a bunch of goblins all in her hair and whatnot, goblin faces, and then the spider webs and spiders as well. This is just a beautiful cover. So this is definitely an honorable mention for me. This storyline right now is absolutely amazing. Is definitely one of the ones we're going to be talking about over the course of tonight. But that cover is just one of my favorite covers from the entire um, year. Another favorite cover of mine, and another favorite book, in fact, is the 30th anniversary special J. Scott Campbell cover for Harley Quinn issue number 1. This cover is just absolutely amazing. It's on the title card for this video for a reason. I'm a huge J. Scott Campbell fan. He is such an amazing artist. And honestly, this book is freaking gorgeous. Absolutely amazing. The artwork inside, can't remember who did the artwork inside, but the artwork is amazing. Everything about what's been going on with Harley and Poison Ivy in the DC universe has been absolute fire lately. It is just they are pumping out amazing content for these two ladies. I don't know who lit the fire under their butt or what, but it is definitely up there in some of the best writing that I have seen and the best artwork that I have seen, and excuse me, and some of the best just downright amazing work for these two characters since I've been getting into comics in the past 6 or 7 years. So definitely up there in just really great style of writing and everything. Another cover that I really loved, but also another book that was really amazing was that they started to team up these two ladies with each other. And this is an awesome team up. I have the graded cover right back there. Mary Jane and Black Cat, issue number one. The Beyond issue. But this cover, the 1 in 25 variant, is just absolutely beautiful. Again, just another, this is a Tyler Kirkham cover. Again, very awesome artist and just absolutely wonderful artwork. And again, just this book is up there not only in cover, like it's beautiful cover to cover. Like everything inside it, all the writing in it was just absolutely amazingly well done. The way that they pit these two ladies with each other and up against each other in the comics is so interesting, so much fun to read and watch. And honestly, I can't wait to see where they go. The another version of this just came out. It was um, just came out recently. I'm not sure where my copy of it is right now, but again, another phenomenal read. Just read it recently. It is absolutely amazingly written, very well done, and I can't wait to see where they go with these two characters from here on out. This next one was written by McKay. Same guy, Jed McKay, was also writing some of the Black Cat stuff, and this writing is just absolutely out of the park. Wonderful for this character. I'm a huge fan of this character. His show that came out over the summer was absolutely amazing. If you have not seen the Moon Knight show, go watch it. It is phenomenally done. It depicts Moon Knight in such an amazing way, and I can't wait to see what they do with Moon Knight and the gods. And I don't think it was a mistake or an accident that they did Namor as basically what seems to be uh, avatar of that god, the serpent, the winged serpent god. Can't remember what the full version of it is. And I don't think that it's very accidental that there were a lot of things, a lot of like little Easter eggs pointing us in the direction of Bast and Thor: Love and Thunder into Wakanda Forever as Shuri took up the mantle. So this book and just this series, um, Moon Knight has been absolutely amazing. Sorry if it freezes. I don't know what's going on. We got a ton of snow. I don't know if that's affecting it or what. But anyways, Moon Knight, the series Moon Knight is definitely one to read right now. Catch up on it. It's about 15 or 16 issues in. It started just at the end of 2022 or 2021 and has been phenomenal throughout all of 2022. It is worth picking up, worth getting into, whether you get into it in single issues or trade paperbacks. This is one that definitely is worth a read because it really is. It's just as amazing, if not more. I'd say it's more amazing than the TV show, and it's up there with some of the original comics that were written about Moon Knight. This is issue like 212 in his legacy numbers, so definitely, definitely, definitely pick up this run. Start at the beginning. It is a phenomenal run. If you have never read Moon Knight, it is up there in content with artwork. It is so beautiful, cover to cover, absolutely amazing, very well written. The storylines, the characters, the villains, everything is just absolutely so much fun to read and so much fun to dive into. Next one, this one actually had a lot of um, not really controversy, but like it was up in value for quite some time. Not this issue, but this series. It was issue three, um, and it was the beginning of a new character, and people thought this character was going to be going places. People were paying like $400 to $500 for this book, the second printing, or maybe it was even the 125. I can't remember exactly which cover it was, but it was they were paying like three, four, five, $600 at one point for the cover of this. And I mean, honestly, this work by Ridley and Landini has just, again, this has just been a fun read. It's so fun to dive into the world of Wakanda and read a Black Panther book. It is so interesting, so guaranteed to put you in that world, throw you into the deep end and allow you to be immersed in the writing and the story and the pictures. Like the artwork is amazing in all of this, and it's such a fun read. Like every little piece of this, the colors that they use is just so fun and interesting, and has many themes to it. Um, a lot of purples and yellows and pinks, just like you would imagine would what Wakanda would look like. Um, if Wakanda was a real place, I would love to go visit because this, like I said, it immerses you in there the same way the movies do, but tenfold. It is so interesting to see how it's played out in the comic, how it's played out on the big screen, and how it kind of paints that picture in your mind. And then, like I said, it immerses you into that world. Before I get into any other, I want to try to do this by publisher because I know we've got our DC fans out there. I know we've got our non DC, our Marvel fans, and then we've got like Image Comics, Aftershock Comics, all that fun stuff. Another book that I have really enjoyed reading, and I always love his work, is Al Ewing's work. This is just the way that he took what happened at the end of the last run of this character and pushed it into the next run of this character has just been so much fun to see where they could take Venom. It's been so interesting to see what if he was a cosmic character. No one's really ever explored that side of him. And I mean, he's an alien. Why are we so earthbound with an alien character? It's kind of like Superman. Superman's a very, for him being an alien, is very earthbound, in my opinion. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much every movie you see him earthbound. There's not very many times where you see Superman on another planet or off doing something else. Like stays very grounded to Earth. Um, Typically, I stay towards the more animated stuff with DC. Not a huge fan of the writing for a lot of it, but and not a huge fan of Superman, anyways. But anyways, so Venom. This has just been so much fun to read. Genuinely fun reading. It's not the best of the best of the best, but it is a fun read, and if you like the character, it's worth picking up. Venom is an acquired taste, and I get that. He is a different style of character. Very different, very interesting. Symbiotes are just an amazing world to dive into, and that's why I can't wait to see what Sony does as they move forward with their properties and Marvel does as they move forward with theirs. Because this is going to be just an extremely fun dynamic of a character to explore once you dive further and further and further into the hive mind, into the cosmic realm, into everything they've been doing, the symbiote garden that they introduced us to. It is so interesting. And the King in Black is not done, and I don't think that Null is gone. So, with all that being said, definitely go pick this up, get caught up on it. Again, it's only like 16 issues in right now. Definitely well worth it. It started just at the tail end of 2022 or 2021, began mostly in 2022, and has just been a phenomenal read. Another one that's been a pretty good read, definitely up there. One of the reasons I picked this up is typically for the cover art, and then also the interior artwork and just style of um, writing, or not even writing, the style of storytelling that they use in a lot of Iron Man comics. Not as much, not as wordy as other comics, but very like power based, very um, just it's a different kind of character, I guess is the best way to put it. It's one of those characters that you have to really dive into and enjoy. And on top of that, you really have to kind of know the writer and enjoy the writer. I'm not a huge fan of Cantwell. Haven't really read much that of his that I've gotten into, or if I have, I haven't noticed it. Which I mean, that's totally possible, but I don't go out looking for his work like I do Donny Cates and Al Ewing, Nick Spencer, Dan Slott. Like those are the ones I usually fall into and kind of find out more about. Um, just because those are really fun books to read, and I really like those writers. I like their style. I like the way they write, so that's what I typically pick up. Whenever Donny Cates is doing something new, I tell my LCS owner Chet, "Can you set something aside? If it's got Donny Cates' name on it, it's the first issue. I'd love to see what it's all about." God Country was amazing. Pretty much everything that he's done I've ever read is pretty much fire. So it's just one of those things. I enjoy his writing. Right now, currently, the Nick Spencer run ended not too long ago, and Zeb Wells, took me a second, is currently writing The Amazing Spider-Man. And the current run of The Amazing Spider-Man, 1 through, I think it's 16 or 17 right now, possibly even 15. Can't really keep up with how many issues there are. This is just so amazing. It's so much fun to read. This character, All Hallows Eve, is such a cool character. Her powers are amazing. The masks, it's I don't want to give too much away, and at the same time, it's one of those things where I just want to tell you, but I want you to go read it for yourself because it really is a fun read. Again, this is another read that's really amazing. Zeb Wells is an amazing writer, and again, not one that I would normally pick up. If it wasn't Amazing Spider-Man, I probably wouldn't have said, "Oh yes, Zeb Wells, I'm gonna read that book." But again, I'm loving what he's doing right now, so I probably will pick up other books that he's writing because this is just absolutely phenomenal writing. It's really cool. It's really fun, and it's a whole different side of Spider-Man, with the clones and just other deep things that are going on that really allows you to see new realms without going into new characters, which is cool because you can see your fun characters, those amazing characters kind of take shape and fight new battles even though they've been around since the 60s or 70s. And then you've got characters like Thor, another really awesome storyline right now. Just everything going on with Thor has just been a ton of fun to read. The Thor versus Hulk was very weird, but very cool at the same time. When Thor turned into Hulk, that was just really interesting. I couldn't even wrap my mind around most of it because it's like, whoa, 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 what are we doing with Hulk and Thor right now? But again, their dynamic in the MCU was just perfect for that. And then to see it kind of play out in exactly the way I thought it would, based on what we saw over the course of the MCU, was just a ton of fun to read and kind of immerse yourself into that world of. It was basically like a two character crossover, which was really weird because usually when you have crossovers, you've got multiple issues, multiple different storylines going on all at the same time. This was literally like, hey, Hulk 8 is now leading into Thor 25, and then Thor 25 now leads into Hulk 9, and then Hulk 9 now leads into Thor 26. It it was different, and different in a really good way because Donny Cates had just gotten done writing, or Donny Cates is writing Thor, and now he is writing Hulk. So it's like really cool to kind of see how the same writer can play with two characters together and build that into what they're doing with that character. And not to say that, I don't know, not to say that it's over the top, like stupid, because it's not. It's very fun. It's very interactive. And it's one of those things where you could not read those characters, dive in right away, and be like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Um, but I think one of the biggest things is being able to say, hey, this is a ton of fun. Like, this is totally different. This is totally new to me. Obviously, Thor and Hulk have probably fought in the comics before. I've never read it. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm new to comics. I got into it when I was in when it was the '90s, just by watching the animated shows. Never really picked up a actual comic book probably until the mid 2000s, and then didn't really dive into the comic book and the collecting side of it until I met my wife shortly into 2016. So it's like I've been in this for 6 years. I've been really in it for almost my entire life, but the comic book aspect, the reading of the comics, has been less than a decade. So there's things that obviously I'm missing and things that I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But I'm honest with that. And that's why I created the Comics Lounge, to be for noobs and everyone alike. Like that's just how it is. Now let's get into more DC books because these three DC books are my top three DC reads. And let me preface this with I'm absolutely loving what's going on with The Flash right now. It's a really fun read. It's really like I've been saying, all of these books have really immersed me into the book as I'm reading it. It makes me dive in deeper and think deeper and do more stuff. And actually, before I say that, the Miles Morales stuff, Lost in the Spider Verse, the Miles Morales Clone Saga, everything that's been going on with him recently has been absolutely awesome. And then I can't wait to finish reading the end of that. I've still got like 5 issues to go. This I actually did start reading. Um, Tried not to spoil it for myself, but I was like, you know what, I gotta see what Ziegler's doing with this because I'm a huge fan of Ziegler as well. Um, this is just a very fun. It's a different style of writing. It's a different style of Miles, in the sense that the um, like the writers are different. So you went from Ahmed to Ziegler, you went from Allen to Vicente or Vicentini, and stuff changes when you change writers and artists. Everything's going to look a little bit different, and I mean that's obvious. Like you can see the different styles of writing and drawing just off the first few pages, but it's really great to see that a character like Miles can be given to a new writer and that he's already starting to run with it. I can't wait to finish reading Ahmed's run, start reading Ziegler's run for real, and truly dive into that without like having a few missing pieces here and there. The good thing about it is since it's an issue one, you can basically pick it up and not miss a beat because it is a new run, but technically, you do really have to read everything else. Can't remember who I was talking to in the community, but like, I'm a completionist, so it's very hard for me to get into comics when I want to collect everything of a character. I'm like, yeah, that's not possible for a lot of people unless it's a brand new character. Even like Miles is already 277, 283, almost 300 issues in his legacy run, and that's not even including all the issues he's been in, because obviously there's a bunch of other stuff that he's kind of featured in, like Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, all different kinds of stuff. Into the Spider-Verse, the most recent Edge of Spider-Verse, End of the Spider-Verse, all that crazy stuff. But with all that being said, let's dive into DC. The top books, just talked a little bit about The Flash. Top books that I've been reading that I've been absolutely loving cover to cover. First things first, Poison Ivy. This storyline, this has just been so amazing to read. It's so weird and interesting to read the story of a character who, growing up as a kid, I was like, what? She just controls plants. Like, come on. What is that? And to be able to say that she really has evolved into a much more dimensional character is really great because it really is fun to see how this character is evolving, how this character is growing, and where this character can start to go and grow further as more people take on this character. Right now, Wilson's writing it, or Wilson wrote this issue, I should say. I'm not sure if Wilson's writing the whole thing. Um, but every issue that I've read so far has just been absolutely amazing to read. Same with this next one. Harley Quinn, the current run of her, not including the other like mini stories, the other mini series based on the animated show, have been amazing. As I said before, everything Harley Quinn that I've been reading from that 30th anniversary edition, excuse me, all the way up to this has just been absolutely amazing to read. It's fun, it's interesting, and it pushes you into that world without missing a beat. It's excuse me. This is one of those books that you can pick up at pretty much any issue and just sort of dive in and be like, "Oh my god, I want to read like the two before that." And Excuse me. And it allows you to really experience more and more and more of a character that has been so um sexualized, so like just thought of as like the sidekick villain for the longest time, and truly now in this year has become a hero. And it's so interesting to see how this character has grown and how they're going to continue to grow this character as time goes on. Again, Phillips is wrote this one. Last one by DC. Then I will talk about the two from independent artists that I've read, that are or two independent publishers that I've read, that have been absolutely amazing. So last one, Wonder Woman, has just been so much fun to read. That's all I can really say about this. It's really just one of those ones you got to go pick up. It's a really fun read. It's interesting. You dive right into it, and it's exactly what you would think it is, and it's very different from a lot of other stuff that's out right now for superheroes. So it's definitely worth picking up. One of the ones that I picked up in 2022, I'm honestly not sure if it came out in 2022, but the artwork is amazing. The story is amazing, and just it's a really cool adaptation to a comic book. We're actually looking about getting this assembly to us to come visit our school and have them talk to the kids, because it's all about like anti-bullying, anti-drugs, all of that. That's why right now we are selling these wristbands. They say anyone can be a hero and keep calm and read comics. On the two sides, they look just like this. So definitely, it's been a ton of fun. We're selling them right now at our LCS. If you reach out to me on Instagram, I definitely have some. And then if you become a member, that's part of our membership welcoming package, to kind of say thank you for being a member of the Comics Lounge. So, Two Land High by Struggle Times at Two Land High, A Beautiful Tomorrow, and Two Land Comics collaboration. This is all about a character that they've created called Drip, which is codename Do Right Inspire People. And this guy right here is Drip, and just again, really amazing character for a comic that is not mainstream. It feels and looks and is just fun, like you would expect from a mainstream publisher. And honestly, Two Land is just such a cool comic because it's different. It's not one that you would normally pick up at your LCS. And this one is just so different to the point where it's like, wow, I need to pick up the next issue. I can't wait to pick up the next issue. Right now, this is Series 1, Issue 1, by Jay the Teller and Dr. Inks, as the writer and artist. And again, it's so cool. It's such a fun read that it's worth the pickup. If you only read it to support their cause, if you only buy it to support their cause, I should say, it's worth it. Honestly, it is so worth it to pick it up and go read it. The two comics go for $30. Everything from well, actually, I don't want to speak to it because I don't know the true details of it, but the two comics at a Comic Con cost me $30, and it was so worth it. Supporting something that can support our kids is absolutely amazing, and that's why I bought it. That was hands down the reason I bought it, was because I love supporting the kids in this country and the kids around the world to do right and inspire people. It's just that's who I am as a teacher. And then my biggest book that I absolutely loved reading every single issue. It's only 5 issue series, by Aftershock Comics by the Miranda brothers. This story picks up right where the original We Live 5 issue miniseries picks up, and this is We Live: The Age of Paladins. Paladins. Phenomenal writing. The Miranda brothers are absolutely amazing writers. They are top notch. I honestly don't know why they haven't written more, why why more stuff hasn't had their name on it. Anaki Miranda did the artwork for Out of Body. That was another amazing comic book, but unfortunately, I believe it did come out in 2021. That's why I didn't include it in this video. Um, this is just like every piece of artwork is so much fun to look at. It's visually inspiring. It brings you into the world that they've created, and you dive headfirst into this crazy, mixed up, messed up world, and you feel like you're right there. It is so much fun to dive into a world like that because honestly, it's well worth it. All right, so what would I continue to pick up? And then let's talk about the events that are coming out. Definitely going to continue to pick up Wonder Woman. However, I will say this, this is not on my pull list for 2023. This is something I pick up issue by issue now. Typically, I pick up everything Wonder Woman, but because of all the covers DC's been coming out with, I don't pick up um, the cover A every single time. So I just kind of tell Chet to put a cover aside for me, whatever he thinks I'd like. And this is one of my wife's books that she reads. So he basically picks out what he thinks she would like. So like this cover is just an absolutely amazing cover. My wife wanted it, picked it out, and was like, hell yeah. Love the how sexy she looks in that. Um, she's a huge Wonder Woman fan, huge Harley Quinn, and huge Poison Ivy fan. So you can imagine why her and I are always at odds with what we're reading because I always want to read Marvel. She always wants to read those women from DC. No, it's not that bad. I read what she reads, and she sometimes reads what I read. It's not a big deal. One thing that I am going to continue to pick up that is on my pull list every single week. Um, that way, there's a copy there for me, and that way, he's definitely getting those incentive variants because these are some really cool variants if they do have them for the particular week. Um, I don't see as many DC incentive variants as I do Marvel. I don't know why, or I don't know if that's even a thing. I don't see them personally come through my LCS. I don't know if it's because most people at my LCS are huge Marvel fans. There's not as many DC fans at our LCS. Don't know why that is. Maybe it's just the neighborhood. Not quite sure. People literally drive 30 minutes to come to our LCS when there's 7 in the area. So I don't know. It is what it is. Like there's 7 within a 30-minute drive of my spot right now. I could get to 7 different local comic shops and would have no problem picking up issues at any of them. Even if I don't have a pull box there, unless it's a big issue, then obviously they sell out quickly. But this is definitely one that's going to stay on my list because this is just an extremely fun read. I love reading Harley Quinn, and my wife is a huge Harley Quinn fan. When is Harley Quinn for um, Halloween last year? Poison Ivy. My daughter went as Poison Ivy for Halloween last year as well. Um, this is another one that I pick up typically week to week because I do have connections. I do sometimes get some of the DC books a week ahead of time. But I'm keeping this on my pull list. It's definitely one of those fun reads, but again, it's kind of one of those ones where I'll be like, pick out the cover you think I'd like. Like obviously, if it's a cover A and the cover A is really awesome, pick that out for me. But like this is the swimsuit variant one, and it's a cardstock, so it's $1 more expensive. Um, but it is what it is. I enjoy picking out the good covers. Got to keep Venom on my roster for my pull list. He is one of my favorite characters, has been since the very beginning of diving into comics. I honestly wish that I would have started putting him on my pull list sooner because I did get right into comics right as King in Black Null was being introduced. No, I do not have that book. Yes, I have been searching for it, and I'm hoping that it continues to go down in value, but it is what it is. But honestly, what Al Ewing has been doing with Venom lately has just been absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, there's ones in here that I'm not going to talk about. I'm talking mostly about the stuff I've picked up and absolutely loved. There's also like Thor, Hulk, um, some of the other DC stuff I pick up. some of the mini series I have on my pull list. I could spend a whole hour talking about what I'm going to put on my pull list this year, but I'm not going to do that with you guys right now because you guys will be bored out of your freaking minds, and I don't want to do that. Black Panther. This is one that I am going to be putting kind of on the back burner this year. Not that it's a bad book. You heard me talk amazing things about it. But again, it's one of those books where if I miss an issue, I'm not going to lose sleep over it and I'm not going to be upset about it. So I'm not going to keep it on my pull list personally. I would definitely suggest if you like Black Panther, if you're a fan of the character, put it on your pull list because it is really a great read. Honestly, I'll probably still continue to pick up every single issue. No lie. I will most likely pick up every single issue that comes out for Black Panther this year. I typically pick up all of his miniseries stuff and stuff like that. But I'm not going to keep him on what I want pulled out every single week. If there's an issue that I really see that I like, or if I read issue, let's say 8, and I really want to read 9, I'll make sure to pre-order that in the previews app and make sure, or previews website, I should say, and make sure that I have that. But it's not gonna be one that's on my personal pull list. Definitely pick it up. Definitely put on your pull list if you're a fan of Black Panther. Well worth it. What I'm gonna continue to pick up, of course, Moon Knight. He's one of my guys. Definitely well worth it. Huge fan. If you have, like I said, if you have not gotten into Moon Knight yet, get into Moon Knight now before it gets any further in, because you don't want to have to get caught up. It is a difficult read in the sense that there's a lot of stuff going on. You might have to stop and reread or stop and go back. So definitely make sure that you read carefully, and this would be the perfect time to dive in because you can binge read it all the way up to where it's currently at and all the trade paperbacks where they're currently at. This is actually the first trade paperback comic that I've ever owned was a Moon Knight trade paperback. It's one of the ones that I fell headfirst into comics when my wife, right before my wife and I got engaged, and Moon Knight was one of those ones that I picked up, started reading, and read 3 times from a train ride to New York City to Rhode Island because I was just hooked. It was so much fun to read. I also picked up a Green Arrow one, read that twice. I like it was those 2 books were so amazing to read that I absolutely could not put them down on that train ride. I had to go back and reread it and understand more about those two characters. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm going to be keeping Amazing Spider-Man on my pull list simply because huge Amazing Spider-Man fan. Grew up with Spider-Man. Definitely going to keep reading Spider-Man. Um, Spider-Man issue 1 came out this year. Last year, I should say, and it was a good read. The Gwen cover was really amazing. Absolutely love that one, and just downright fun. So keep read what you love and love what you read. That's my biggest piece of advice to you. Now, what are the top 3 events that I'm looking forward to, and just downright the top 5 events that will be coming out this year? So obviously, there's excuse me. There's typically always an X-Men event that comes out. There's going to be 2 X-Men events. The Fall of X could tease the end of the X-Men's Krakoan age. That's not what I'm too hugely into. And then there's also one that's kind of teasing the X-Men, the Sins of Sinister, completely reshaping the Marvel Universe. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to kind of reshape how we see some characters in the Marvel Universe or how some events kind of have played out. But I really don't think that's going to be a massive 616 Earth universe shaking event. I don't think that's the case. Again, we'll get into more of that as more news becomes available. It is coming out in January of this year, so it's almost here, if not here already. Honestly, I don't pick up X-Men books. I'm not a huge fan of X-Men. When it comes to the comics, I loved pretty much every movie that has ever come out that's X-Men. Huge fan of Wolverine and his movies. Huge fan of Deadpool and his movies, but never really been into the comics. Just not a huge fan of anything that I've read X-Men related. So I don't continue to pick up stuff that I'm not a fan of. Not that it's bad. It really isn't horrible. It's just not my style, so I don't enjoy it in the moment. That's just how it is. Um, Since the Sinister will alter reality, much like the popular Age of Apocalypse event from the 90s, we'll see how true that actually ends up being. But here's the one that I am very excited for because it's Cold War related. It should be Cold War related. It's Captain America's crossover for Marvel's Cold War event. Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson both currently operating as Captain America, for each with their own partners. 2023's Cold War crossover event will bring both heroes together in the pages Captain America Sentinel of Liberty and the Symbol of Truth. Um, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing are going to be writers. Carmen Carnero and writer Tachi Onyeguchi. Sorry, I probably just completely butchered that. Um, and a few others will helm the Cold War crossover. I'm a huge fan of the Cold War in history. It is such an interesting time in history. It's such a fun read to read about what was going on. Sorry, I'm not saying that it was a fun time in history because it was very scary to live through. I literally have a bomb shelter right over there from the Cold War in my house. So trust me when I say that that's not what I'm talking about when I say that it was a fun part of history. What I'm saying is like it's really interesting the dynamics that were going on during that time, and it's fun to read about that because it's fun to see the parallels from the past and then into the future of what happened and where that brought us today. That's what I mean by that. um, then there's also going to be a Superman crossover with his family. One of the other things that I'm excited for that should be very interesting is DC's Lazarus Planet, which again is another one that's promising huge changes for the DC universe. Just like the X-Men one promised huge changes for the X-Men and Marvel universe. Again, always hold your breath when you hear that because it doesn't truly mean anything when it comes to the whole universe. Like obviously we had Empire, where the Korean Skrull War was over, and they said it's going to be massive, it's going to change everything, and it didn't. King in Black, that kind of changed a lot because now there's a lot of hatred towards symbiotes, and there's actually a lot of weird stuff that goes on in the comics right now, and that is really fun to dive into because symbiotes are basically like hated, which is really interesting to see played out in the comic. So, like, there's actual things that basically say, like, hey, symbiote alert, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, it, without diving too much into this, because again, I could go on for hours and hours about this stuff because I absolutely love it. I've been talking for 43 minutes right now. So, obviously, you know, I can talk about symbiotes and Spider Man related stuff for a long period of time. um, But basically, the transformative Lazarus resin from Ra's al Ghul's restorative pits will cover the earth and promises to change a number of heroes in exciting new ways. Batman will don the helmet of Dr. Fate, while John Kent develops new electrical powers. In just a few of the teases from the event, Lazarus Planet will help reshape the DC universe for the Dawn of DC year-long initiative. So again, something that probably won't have a long-lasting effect like New 52 did, where it kind of just reset everything, which was really amazing to read and really amazing to watch kind of unfold. As I kind of caught up on certain issues in it, it was a ton of fun to read the issues that I read for New 52. But take all of that with a grain of salt because you never truly know how much of a shakeup it's going to be until after everything has happened. They said that DC Dark Knight's death metal was going to be massive and a huge shakeup. It really, in my personal opinion, it wasn't. Besides the fact that now DC is much more Batman centered since then, and pretty much there's 6 Batman books coming out every week to every 4 other DC books that are put on a shelf each and every week. Like, let's just be real. Like, that's just what's been going on. And honestly, I haven't been a fan of what DC's been doing with pretty much anything except for the stuff I've talked about tonight. So take it all with a grain of salt when they say, "Hey, we're going to be doing the DC, what they call it, the dawn of DC." Like, come on, really? That's what we want to call this for real? Last but not least, the one that I'm looking the most forward to. Again, there's also another Batman crossover event, a mysterious night event. Night obviously spelled with a K. The Dawn of DC uh, year-long story. But the one that I'm personally most excited about, something that's been led up to for the past 2 or 3 years of symbiotes, is the Summer of Symbiotes. You've had absolute carnage lead into um, just downright crazy stuff happen with the King in Black, Null being released, the Red Goblin, Carnage, everything. This is one that I definitely think should play a major role for these characters and be a major shift for these characters. Not saying it's going to be a massive universe shifting thing, because I don't think that's the case. They said that even King in Black might do that. It didn't change the entire shape of the Marvel universe like they said it was going to. But the Summer of Symbiotes event is expected to be obviously summer of 2023, and it's expected to be massive. Red Goblin, or starring the Red Goblin, Venom, and Carnage. Those are going to be your main three. And then, obviously, everything that's been going on with Venom, everything that's been going on with Carnage, everything that's been going on with Gold Goblin in The Amazing Spider-Man. Red Goblin's going to be coming back very soon. Like, there is so much stuff being teased right now about symbiotes that it is just a ton of fun. A ton of fun to be a fan of symbiotes. There is so much to unpack in everything that we could see for this, and I'm going to do more leading up to it. This will be mostly my comic centered stuff. We'll be talking about these events that are happening and how they happened, and if they truly did what they said they were going to do throughout this year as time goes on. But basically, the gist of everything is that Marvel's pretty much saying symbiotes have been huge for us. They've been selling like hotcakes. Donny Cates has been rocking it. Al Ewing's been rocking it. And it's been just ongoing success ever since the Donny Cates run of Venom. They're wearing it all on their sleeve right now and saying this is what is going on. Venom, the Venom Island, was phenomenal. What came shortly after that? Venom Beyond, I think it was, or whatever. Codex, his first appearance. Can't think of what it was called. That's a variant. But anyways, that series that led into the King in Black, where Codex came about, and we saw Virus, Scorpion as Mac Gargan, Scorpion as Virus, in a totally different version of the Marvel universe. Basically, the Summer of Symbiotes will be a spin of storylines from the series like Venom, Carnage, and Red Goblin. It's going to be coming out very soon. And there's going to be new symbiotes, new villains, the join Venom's powerful symbiote family. And I love what Marvel's been saying about this, because obviously you've got like Suns Out, Guns Out, but Venom doesn't do guns out, he does tongues out. So the whole like thing is like suns out, tongues out. Stupid, cringy, silly, but that's what I like to see. Like, I love when people love to be cringy, because that shows that they're super nerdy about this stuff. It shows that it's fun. And like, let's just be real. The more fun you can get with something, the more amazing it's going to be. Because it's not going to be good if it's not fun for the people writing it and making it. So definitely some big shifts coming, and just probably 3 months worth of symbiote stuff. We can probably expect to see it start at the end of June, into, of course, July and August, and ending and wrapping up somewhere mid to late September, if not early September. But I don't think they would wrap up right at the beginning. of September. I think they would push it probably to that mid part and then see. Oh, the annual for Venom would probably come out right around October, November, like it usually does. So I could see them ending it and then having the annual kind of play into that. You can also probably expect there to be something around like symbiotes for the Halloween new free comic book day, Halloween Fest. You probably expect to see a start of this at the May free comic book day, the second Saturday of every month or every May. Is free comic book day, and you could probably expect them to start promoting it then. So just go pick up symbiotes, go have fun reading it, and just downright love what you're reading this year. Tell me what you're reading in the comments below. I'd love to hear more about what you guys are doing, and I'd love to put more on my pull list. So go ahead, put it in the comments, and have a ton of fun this year reading your comics that you are absolutely in love with, just like I am. Thank you for watching, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you're just now joining us, I just saw a couple people come into the room. If you're just now joining us, go ahead and go back and watch that replay. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and hear your thoughts on what you think symbiotes should be and where you think the summer of symbiotes is going to go, and then also what you think of everything that I talked about. What would you add to the best comics of 2022? Put that in the comments. I'd love to hear that. And what are you putting on your pull list? What are you truly excited about for the next 12 months of comics? Thank you guys for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a great night.